All right, this is the next card that I'm interested in maybe keeping or using. I'm not quite sure. Just want to see how it works. So it's a very simple layout, so I think this one will be easy to figure out. So it says it's a single frequency record converter, or record converter, or record converter. I've taken a brief look at it, and I believe what's going on is there's an oscillator over here. There's a crystal here, and so I believe this oscillates, and this is the fine tune for the crystal. There's a mixer here, so I think things come in, they get mixed, and then they go out. All right, so as far as I can tell, this is the goes in here, and so it goes in here, and it comes over to this section, and it looks like there's a transistor here, but I looked up the part number. It is a oh, it's too small for me. It is a Motorola MWA 120. It's an actually a whole amplifier, good up to 400 megahertz. And then it runs this way, and so it goes through this filter. Okay, so there's some type of filter here. And so input, amplification through the filter to the mixer, oscillator to the mixer, and then the product of those comes out this way. It goes through this, which I think is a filter, and then it comes over to here, and it's got one of those LH0032 high-speed op amps. It's a 70 megahertz op amp, and then it comes out on this one here. So that means that the input has to be less than 400 megahertz, and the output has to be less than 70 megahertz. Now that assumes everything has a gain of 1, and they use it right at the limit. So it's probably much less than 400 and much less than 70 megahertz. So, okay. So in order to see what's going on here, oh, and it's perfectly labeled, the power here. It's plus and minus 15. Okay? So I have plus and minus 15 coming in, and we can use our spectrum analyzer to see if we can see the oscillation of this thing. So I have my non-contact E-field probe. So I'm going to be using that, and we can come over. Oh, the other thing that I figured out was that there are these jumpers here. So there's a jumper, and a jumper. So the input goes through a jumper, the oscillator goes through a jumper, and the output goes through a jumper. So you can separate everything if you want to. So we're going to come over here to the oscillator section, and let's see here. We need to turn on our power. Okay, so I've applied some power, plus minus 15. Currently, it's drawing 73 milliamps at minus 15 and 61 milliamps at plus 15, so it seems happy enough. And we will probe over here next to the oscillator, and we can see here we have some type of signal. We can do a peak search on that, and it's measuring 20.25, and so it's 20 megahertz. So we have a 20 megahertz carrier on the oscillator. All right, so we know we have 20, and we know that our output has to be less than 70, right? So that kind of limits what we can input. So I would say we're probably going to be looking at 70, somewhere, 10 to 60 megahertz, that kind of range maybe, in order to have it come out correctly. Maybe up to 70 megahertz. I don't know, somewhere in there. Anyway, definitely less than 100 megahertz is going to be coming in. And now we have to figure out what this filter does, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to inject a signal here, and we're going to monitor this point right here. We're going to put our probe. Oops. There we go. We're going to put our probe right on this jumper here, and we're going to input with a function generator, a RF generator. We're going to input onto here, and we will take a look at what comes out. All right. So right now, let's see here. You can see that little thing moves there. So that's the signal I'm inputting, and I can lower it and I can raise it. You can see it go to the right, and you can see it go to the left. And ignore the bumps and stuff. There's just noise that's getting into the system because the shielding's off of it. So it comes up here and it starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller until it finally disappears. And it's disappearing at 38 megahertz. And if I come up and I go the other direction, it's disappearing. That kind of goes into that big blob there. It's disappearing about 11 megahertz. So somewhere between 11 and 33 megahertz is that filter. So I say it's probably peaked right around in there, which is 24 megahertz. So let me tell you what I was doing. All right. So I'm trying to sweep this filter basically. I'm inputting and I'm measuring how much is coming out, and I'm moving back and forth until I'm getting a maximum. And so I get a maximum right about 24 megahertz. So I claim that this is like a 24 megahertz bandpass filter. It's letting in 24 megahertz, and then it's going to mix it with 20 megahertz. So we should get about 4 megahertz on the output. So let's measure over here. We'll put our probe on this output jumper. All right. And we should get 4, right? We should get 24 and 20. We should get 4 megahertz. So let's see what we get. I see something way over there. Let's go measure that one. What is that one? Peak rate? We're getting something at 44.5. 44.5 is 24 plus. So that's the plus signal there. So we're getting 24. So maybe this is mixing it up, right? Up in frequency, not down in frequency. So, okay. So we know that the mixer is working. Now, if it comes down this way, it's going to come and get amplified and then go out, okay? And so this is the out here, so I can put my probe over here where the out is, and I can go back and take a look again, and I go, oh, we get a different looking picture now. So now that 44 megahertz is gone, all right? But we're getting a big one here. So let's measure that one, and that one is happening at 3.6 megahertz. So that's our down conversion, and the up conversion is gone. So why is the up conversion gone? Well, I think that's because of this selective filter. So this filter here. So it probably is something like a 10 megahertz cut or something like that. It blocks everything that's higher than that. So it's selecting just the lower sideband of the mixing product and amplifying that out. So we have this super duper 70 megahertz amplifier here that's only being used at 4 megahertz, but it is a dandy. It is really, really nice. I'm going to be doing a video on these LH0032s. I had one on another board, and I took it out and put it under the microscope, so you get to see the insides of one of these, and you'll learn why they're so fancy and they're so expensive. All right, so there we go. We can go through it all together here. We have an incoming signal. Here's our incoming signal, right there. And our incoming signal is at 24 megahertz. And then we have a local oscillator, which is here. And it is at 20.25 megahertz. And then we have the mixing product that's going to come out of the amplifier. And it's down here. We'll do a peak search. And it is at 3.63 megahertz. And there you go. So is this thing any useful to me? Let's think about it. Let's think about it. This thing here is tuned to a particular IF frequency, somewhere around 20 megahertz. And we have a 20 megahertz local mixer. And then that mixes it down to some video frequency, basically. 4 megahertz is kind of in the video range. So, is it useful or not? Well, because I know it works, and because I know how it works, I think what to do is to document it and keep it together because it's actually functional. Certainly the local oscillator is functioning. The crystals on a socket might be able to change the crystal out to something more usable. The mixer is probably very broad band. Yeah, so I think I'll keep it together. And let's draw a picture of what we think we have. Okay, so we're going to come in. And it's going to be run through one amplifier. And then it's going to go through a bandpass filter. Bandpass. Some type of filter. And then it's going to go into a mixer. So that comes into the mixer. And then we have an LO here. 20.225 megahertz. And then we have some type of low pass filter here. Low pass. And then it comes out here to LH0032, and it comes out again like this. So there we go. That's what's inside this thing. So should be useful for something in the future. So I think I'll make a little drawing like this, and I'll put it on the inside of the cover here. I'll put the cover on it, then if I ever open it up, I'll know what's inside. All right, hope that was informative.